Okay, let's open this meeting. We'll open it up with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, number 2, open public forum. Anybody that is not on the agenda wishing to speak. Otherwise, we'll move on to number 3, which is going to be an amended agenda. We're going to add, before 5, we'll call it 4.5, fire department report. So I need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 4, consent agenda. Recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Doug makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 4.5. Yes, now you are. Mr. Weber.
Thanks a lot, Randy.
Well, what else was I supposed to tell you? Number 1? You are number 1.
Thanks. With discussion with Bridget and a couple other people, we thought maybe we would start doing a monthly report from the fire department.
I think it's a good idea.
Last Tuesday of the month, if it works out for me, because I have 3 fire meetings after this yet, but if I can't make it, I'll just send somebody in Bridget a written report of what we have for calls and stuff, but that's okay with you guys?
Yep. Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I'm just gonna run over a couple of things. The month of December, we ended up having 26 calls. I was quite busy, but we're still in January yet. January, we've had 32 calls already, so. Everything.
Doesn't slow down, does it?
No. In a week, 2 weeks, we're gonna be, a week from this Saturday, we'll be doing interviews and then putting 3 people on. So hopefully that ends up being a good day weather-wise and
Yeah.
not a snowstorm.
Saturday, February 8th.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
This-
the one that you and
Yeah.
Aaron.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you have a starting time on that?
9.
9 a.m. Here. Okay.
So we'll do oral interviews and we'll do the practicals right after lunch or something. Thanks. All right.
Works for me. Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Just a reminder for city residents, if you can please shovel the hydrants open, please. If they're clogged up and we can't hook up with them, it's just a mess trying to get hoses in there, so 2 feet all the way around would be great. You know, the snow is hard. If possible. February 7th, we are going to be announcing our headliner for Firefest. I believe it's going to be on social media at this time, is what the plan is, so
Okay.
we're getting real close to having a full
Full lineup?
full lineup, yes.
Oh, really?
We have 4 right now. But that's pretty much what I have for this month and stuff.
Not sure if your mic's on. Can you, the slash should be down.
No, it should be down, or,
Just
The
like
that
circle's
better?
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
is that better?
If you keep talking, you can tell.
I don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're done? Are you?
Yes, I'll just
Okay.
bring up please dig out the hydrants again, please. 2 feet around hydrants,
Just makes it easier for us when we have a fire, so knock on wood, we don't have any, so.
Anybody got anything for Dan?
me.
Nothing from me. Keep up the good work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
I can shut it off
Okay.
again.
Yeah, just leave it on. Okay, number 5 then. Advocates for Health, AED update. Rich Van Nuys.
Thank you.
This is
For Shannon.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could,
I'll get it.
Thank you for the opportunity to come in and update you on the Safe Station program in Cold Spring and Richmond. My name is Rich Van Nuys, and I live in Sartell, Pine Point, north of Sartell. Back in 2018, I was made aware of a grant application for an AED and training that Centricare had going. And with that, I applied for a grant, and along with 2 of my friends, to put an outdoor save station in our neighborhoods. And the grant was pretty straightforward. We'll give you a free AED, which was worth about $1,600, plus training, which was worth about $400 at the time, if we raise money to put up a save station. And at that time, they were about $5,500. We went out and did that, and frankly did it within a month. And so we put that up. I had some of the concerns that people always ask about as far as will it survive our winter? And of course we had the polar vortex first right out of the chute, and it survived. I went from then in the spring of 2019, I approached Centricare and I said, this is really a pretty good product. There's a real big need just in Stearns County and central Minnesota in general for these. And what would you think about extending your AED grant? They got back to me the next day and said, we'll provide 25 more AEDs if you go out and do the work necessary to spread the word about safe stations. So with that, and in combination with my friend Joel Vogel runs a golf tournament every year called Mended Hearts, and what he does is raise money for AEDs, and the funds that are raised for that go to Centricare also. And with that, we had another 16 AEDs that we could get out in the community. So what we did is we started initially in St. Joseph, where Joel Vogel lives, and started the AED program, a safe station program, and presented to City Council, and they initially bought 5 of them. We were fortunate enough that someone came up right away and said, I'll buy 4 more. And so we had 9 in St. Joseph immediately. We installed those, everything went well, and we've basically been expanding from there. Last spring, we were invited to attend a Cold Spring Chamber meeting, and with that, Joel and I made a presentation to the group, and it was quite a large group, including state senators, police officials, that sort of thing, and told them what we did in St. Joe and what we possibly could do in Richmond and Cold Spring. The packet that I have, that I handed out, so what we did first of all is to find out if there was a need or a desire to move with something in Cold Spring. And so we did a presentation using this brochure. You'll notice in the inside of the brochure that Sheriff Soika is an advocate of the Safe Station program with us. And what we've been doing and working with him is to identify where AEDs are in Stearns County. We found 481 of them, and coincidentally, up to 20% of them, the batteries didn't work or the pads are expired. And so it's kind of an eye-opening situation. So what we did from there is that we developed a game plan that, this is just some information about Advocates for Health and Safe Station, that sort of thing, just for your general information. The committee, we eventually formed a committee and came up with a game plan. And this piece of literature is what we ultimately handle out to the public. And we came out with a Phase 1 and Phase 2 project. And this is basically, okay, we've identified areas that we feel there's a need and identified it that way, and then ultimately came up with a pricing strategy, which is this sheet right here. And so we had basically starting from $100 on up to a $5,000 premier sponsorship. With that, the other thing that we did, and included in your packet, is that visuals are always good. So we had drawn up, the American Heart Association recommends a 3-minute response time as being ideal as far as for saving life. And what we did is the red circles represent a minute and a half out and a minute and a half back, so a 3-minute response time. Everything after 3 minutes, you lose the chance of saving somebody's life by 10%. So it's very important that you get there as soon as possible. A save station is not meant to replace emergency services, but it's really a bridge. Nationally, EMS response time is 12 to 15 minutes. You're talking 3 minutes here, there's a huge gap. So what this is meant to do is fill that gap. With that, we ended up offering this to the public, and as you can see in this brochure, all the different people and organizations that were involved in it. By the way, some of the statistics I want to mention, the CentraCare grant consisted of the AED that they furnished was $1,695 worth of value. The grant, or the training, was worth $450. You got 16 of these between Cold Spring and Richmond, so you got a value of almost $35,000 between the AED and training. Hell of a good start. Along with that, we were able to get a local electrician, Tom Faber Electric, who said he'll donate his time for hooking them up. That was, depending on the location, a $500 to $550 gift. Great start. So with that, we approached the different organizations, Lions clubs, businesses. Cold Spring Brewery had a Oktoberfest where they donated all the proceeds, that sort of thing. Where we're at right now, and I just put a collage together of just some of the locations that we've done in Richmond and Cold Spring. And some of the premier sponsors got a bronze plaque recognizing what they did, a special recognition also. As an aside, one of the things that I've found, the Minnesota Department of Health has a Heart Safety Community Award that you can apply for. And there's a long list of Minnesota cities, counties that are part of that. I think it would be a great feather in your hat to apply for something like this because of what has gone on so far. You've done way more than a lot of communities are where they're at. And so just a suggestion as far as an opportunity, signs that could be put on the entrance to the city, that sort of thing, recognizing what you've done so far. So just an idea. With that, I put together a spreadsheet, and this is part of the request of the committee as far as the involvement of the city and how to get involved. Save Station purchase includes 2 years of monitoring. And monitoring, what this is much like an ADT security contract where Save Station monitors the temperature, they monitor the battery life daily, they monitor the pads, anything, functionality, that sort of thing. It's something you don't have to do. What we found out over and over again, even though you're supposed to check your AEDs monthly, I would say 99% of the people don't. It's just a fact of life. And so this does it automatically. Save Station is heated, it's cooled. If there's an issue with anything, there's a backup battery in case of power going out, that sort of thing. So it basically runs that and lets you know if there's a problem. Typically on the AEDs that we have, it's a company called DefibTech. They have a 5-year life on the battery and the pads. And so what I did is I basically put together a 10-year spreadsheet saying, okay, what would be the yearly costs for the batteries, pads, and the monitoring, and then frankly use the 2% inflation factor to be realistic about it. And so you can see on a year-to-year basis that your expenses will start in year 3, and it shows Cold Spring having 9 safe stations right now and what that cost would be per year, and the same thing with Richmond. And so what we're trying to do is give a realistic business plan of what expenses would be in the future, and then frankly, if and more added, it's then addressing that issue also as far as the upkeep of that. The last page that I had is basically a proposal of some different options to consider. Option 1 is where the city would be responsible for the ongoing monitoring and battery pad replacement as outlined in the spreadsheet I just presented to you. Option 2, as you can see by the map we presented, there are some holes in the system, areas that are not covered, some residential areas. I put together a proposal that starts with a premier sponsorship. Unfortunately, Centricare does not have any more AEDs for their grant. I am have the opportunity to buy AEDs at cost, in fact less than cost through DefibTech. I can only sell to nonprofits, and it's $850 for something that costs normally $1,020. So it's a hell of a deal. I factored in electrical hookup. I don't want to assume that Tom Faber can keep on doing these installations, although what I found in St. Cloud and Way Park is that there are other electricians that will donate this. I'm factoring it in as a cost, but I think we should be able to find some people that would be able to do that. So one option is for the city potentially to fill in some of the gaps that are out there. Option 2A is kind of a version of buying them, but basically participating, splitting the costs. In other words, if you want to spend X number of dollars, you would go and say, we'll match neighborhood or business where there's a gap 50-50. You raise the money, much like what I had to do when I raised money for Pine Point. And so under that scenario, you basically would have give it opportunity to the city, to the community, to different neighborhoods, whatever, say, here's what we have available to you. If you're interested, so be it. The advantage of that is that you control who goes on there, where monies are coming from, that sort of thing. So you're not obligated to do it, but if you have a definite neighborhood or neighborhoods you want to cover that are not covered right now, it's a great way of doing it. In St. Joe, there's holes in the system also, areas that are not covered. Mark Zimmer Foundation notified me that they're going to do a $5,000 grant for more save stations. And I said, well, that's fine. And then I also presented the idea of doing split costs. If you did $1,500 for each and they have neighborhoods raise the money. So it's something that has worked before and potentially could work again. I'm just throwing it out there as an option, an idea to consider. Any questions?
You guys got anything?
Bridget, is this something that can go in our newsletter, spring? Do we have a spring newsletter coming out?
We should be. I've been using, yes, we'll have one in April. I've been moving away from newsletter and using social media because of its immediateness, so it could be something we could put on there even sooner to get out.
One thing that is available that I forgot to mention is that Save Station has various videos that I have shared with the committee, one of them being how to open a save station, how to use that. There's another one specific to DefibTech, how do you use the AED. The other thing too is the training. You should take advantage of the training and have those offered in the community, either setting up a couple different dates. There's, I think, 6 of them set up so far that are happening. One's happening tomorrow at Cold Spring Brewery, if I remember right. So we've got that process started. And so that's something, again, for the newsletter, that sort of thing, however you want to get it out. I can forward the videos to you that you can share, for your telephone, or your television feed also.
Can we put those on social media? Do we have?
Sure.
They're not copyrighted or anything?
No.
Okay.
They're meant to use.
Perfect.
So there's a lot of different ways to get out the message to the community. The big thing about Save Station is not just a technology, it's an awareness program. People just are afraid to use them. They think they'll kill somebody if they hook them up and they don't need it. The truth of the matter is the diagnostics arms the button. You can't kill anybody. You can only save somebody's life.
Would we be able to put it on, have them put it on TV too yet?
Yeah, I think so. I'll talk, yeah,
That would
Yep.
be a good thing to have on there once in a
So
while.
I'll send that to you tomorrow
sure.
and have that. And then if there's any other things you need, our website has just a ton of information.
Okay.
And all the new installations will be on there. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, Gary?
I have a question. I do believe one question that the Save Station Committee in Cold Spring has is relative to year 3 through whenever, and those yearly costs that are incurred to maintain the Save Station.
Right.
And I'm not clear as to where that committee believes the money will come from to pay for that. So for example, in year 3, the $3,434.
And on the proposal that we're talking about, it'd be the city that we're asking
Okay.
for that.
Okay. I guess I would like to know the thoughts of this group, if the city would consider, for the city of Cold Spring, assuming that cost for the 9 safe stations, and potentially consider adding that money to either the fire department budget or the emergency management budget starting in 2021 going forward. The concern that I have from attending a few of the meetings, or the concern I believe the committee has, is relative to who is going to be the responsible city person, group, to maintain these as time goes by. And my fear would be that, if you have an individual that says, well, I'll check them, that might be one thing, but when it comes to the cost for replacing the batteries and the pads, as your spreadsheet outlines, I think that that's more of a city responsibility than it is donations or anything like that. Because at least if it's a city responsibility, there's a much higher probability that year to year it will be funded and that will be taken care of, versus a group having to go around every year and ask businesses or individuals for donations to come up with the $3,400. And I'd like to just know what your thoughts might be about that.
My thought is that the city would be responsible for the financial part of it. I think we were going to, at least my initial impression was we were going to have a discussion on who would actually be the responsible party, and I'm with you that we either need to make it the fire department or the police department, where they would be responsible for making sure that, once a year or once every 6 months, they're checking them and whatever the case may be. But that was my impression from the initial meeting we had, was the city would absolutely be responsible for that yearly cost.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. I know it's certainly some dollars, but I would have to believe that our residents would certainly be in favor of us spending the money for something that is such a great program and can potentially save lives.
Go ahead, Doug.
Question on the monitoring, the $360 a year. So if we had like the fire department or a designated group, fire department or police, check those pads, check the batteries, would we still need that monitoring then?
That's part of the safe
That's
station.
telling
yeah.
you that if it's heated or air
Right.
and stuff like that, so if that part,
Right.
okay.
Someone brought it up at another meeting that, 360, that seems like a lot. It's cellular base, so, you know, if you add or subtract a line on your Verizon bill, it costs you $20 a month, basically, to and from. So you look at that, that's $240, so basically it's $120 a month, or a year, $10 a month, to do all the things that you don't have to send somebody out there to monitor. It's all checks at all of it. If the heating doesn't work, it lets us know all those sorts of things. You don't have to hire another person to do that. What I see over and over again is that the person that is responsible for checking that tends to be the lowest person on the totem pole, and they don't always do it. And it gets lost in the shuffle. This way, somebody is doing it, and you know what's being done.
And then you add to that the call-out feature that's included with the cameras.
Yeah, thanks. You know, one of the features about the safe station is if it's open, the alarm goes off, it takes a picture. We worked out something with the police department where they have immediate access to that picture, so they have a sub-account, so they can see who does that. And then there's a neighborhood alert system. And what is set up right now is cell phones for police and fire. When you get into different neighborhoods, there can be added, we can add up to 120 names or cell phone numbers of people that would be contacted. And basically the message is saying, AED emergency, come help. And it has the address of the safe station. So it's really, you know, neighbors helping neighbors.
So would, if one of them isn't heating or something like that, then who's fixing that?
We would fix it. We would notify either the police department or the city hall, however you want to designate that, to take the AED out, bring it inside so it doesn't freeze, and then we'll put a sign on it until it gets fixed. I've got parts in stock to fix anything right away. I talked to Eric Boucher yesterday or this morning, and they're going to order an extra set of pads, so one for Richmond, one for Cold Spring. So if one is used, it can be immediately back in service, and which makes a whole lot of sense. So there's a lot of things a lot of thought has gone into it. We want to make sure that this is available all the time.
It's a good idea, and somebody's got to pay for it, and I think the city should.
Just be a budget item.
It should be, it should end up on the budget somehow.
It'll-
Or fire department budget, or wherever it goes to. I think the city, personally, I don't think the fire department should be the ones taking the brunt of that either. 'Cause ultimately, it's going to come out of the city,
Right.
so.
I'll just add it to my list of things to consider at the budget
Yes.
meeting in September.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although
I
it won't
think
be necessary
For
to the
next-
2022
Right,
budget,
right.
right?
Okay.
Is the 1 year on installation date, or is it on,
From the date of installation, so
Installation.
yours has just started, basically.
right? So it really would be last quarter of 2022.
Right.
So 1 quarter for
Right.
that budget year, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and that cost could go up if we add more by 2022 also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I could, I'd like to just circle back. Our immediate request is the option one, to consider that, which is outlined in that spreadsheet. And then additional considerations, to move forward with the project and fill everything in our 3-minute response time. So that opens up options 2 and 2A to the board for consideration.
It's not in this year's budget, so it would have to
No.
be for 2021 to choose an option 2 or 2A. But it sounds like, I suppose you could make a motion on option 1 that you, the city, well, I suppose if you wait till the budget meeting and then just, you're really
Well,
just
there's-
considering it as a budget option for 2022.
Right.
But you're looking for a commitment tonight, right? I mean, yes, I would make a motion that the city would be responsible for the ongoing monitoring and battery pad replacement as outlined in the spreadsheet enclosed. And then we would review whether to go with option 2 or option 2A at this year's budget meeting.
I would second that.
So we're gonna, okay, we got a motion and a second. But my question, we're gonna review whether we do option 2 or 2A then, or?
Yeah. I mean, if the committee is still running
Yeah.
at the time of our budget and the committee is willing to do the fundraising for it, then I'm open to that. But if it's not, and then we have to decide as a council how many more we want to purchase, then we know how much we're spending. But I think that's for a later discussion. I don't think we can make that decision tonight. But I'm certainly in favor of the city supporting this.
Okay,
Given that most of the big majority of the costs are right now for us have been covered. So
Yeah.
it's
all right, any other discussion on it then? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right. Number 6.
Number 6 actually goes along with number 7, but of course, one at a time. Number 6 is a request by Cold Spring Brewery to release the estoppel agreement that the city entered into with the brewery due to their loan from Varagon Financial when the current owners of the brewery bought it from the former owners. This agreement had to be created because you had granted the business subsidy to build the last expansion and sell the 2 parcels for $1 each. The new buyer, because there was a new lender, needed an estoppel agreement to stop them from violating that business subsidy. They have since paid off this lender and are going to a different lender. And so this one is releasing and terminating the agreement, the estoppel agreement with the former lender, or they're still with it because it hasn't closed. They need these first. So this is closing that agreement.
Okay, recommendation to authorize the mayor to sign the release and termination agreement with the Cold Spring Brewing Company. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion, all those second it. Doug seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Should I just read the recommendation for number 7 then?
Sure.
Okay. Number 7, recommendation to authorize the mayor to sign the business subsidy development agreement estoppel and agreement with the Cold Spring Brewing Company. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Doug makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second it.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. All right. Number 8, pay raise of city council.
At last budget, you had proposed a budget increase of $25 per month per person. And then I looked at state law, and you can do it, it just can't be effective until the next election. So with the November election, it'll be effective December 1st. That's what
That's
the
it.
proposed date.
Yeah. Okay. Recommendation to approve a pay raise for the city council of $25 per month increase, and furthermore to be effective December 1st, 2020. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion to approve. How about a second?
I'll second.
Gary seconds it. Any discussion on it?
Yes, I have some.
Go ahead.
You know, to the residents, I know it's always a sensitive topic when people in government positions vote a raise for themselves. But one reason I support it, first of all, it's not a lot of money in addition to what we currently get paid. But I don't know if residents realize the number of meetings that we all attend every week, and we're happy to do that. We're not complaining about it, but being on the council or in city administration, it goes a lot farther than just 2 council meetings per month. We have Planning Commission, Quarry Trail Board, Highway 23, we have Park Board and Bridge and Planning and all these others, which all of us volunteer to be on those committees. We do not get paid for that, other than our monthly salary. And then in addition to that, there's a variety of other things that we end up being involved in, such as the upcoming fire department hiring process. We have the mayor, and in this case, Jamie, have volunteered to spend a half a day on a Saturday going through that process with the firefighters. And so I just wanted them to understand a little bit that there is a lot more to this than just the 2 monthly meetings, and I hope that they're fine with what we're doing.
Well said.
Anything else? Yes, it is. Any other discussion on it?
Sir.
Then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 9, Public Works Director Report. John Stevie along with Brian Lynchen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, John.
The first thing I got on my report is the second half of our water meter project that we started last year. Like I said, it was a 2-year project. We got 254 cam strip water meters with radios going in to finish up the rest of town for a total of $48,185 from Dakota Supply Group. Installation of the 254 meters from Midwest Testing at a price of $21,121.30 for a combined price of $69,306.30. And we budgeted for that in the capital expenditures, Water Department 6413. So if you have any questions for me on that, otherwise the recommendation is all yours.
I'll read the recommendation. To approve the purchase of 254 cam strip water meters from Dakota Supply Group at a cost of $48,185 and for installation by Midwest Testing at a cost of $21,121.30 and furthermore for the total amount of $69,306.30 to be paid out of Water Department Capital Expenditures line item 6413. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Last week, Wednesday, I believe it was, we had a update from the DNR. We had a meeting here at City Hall. Bridget, myself, Tanya, Sue was there representing the city. The brewery had a bunch of staff there, some of the investment groups, and then there was a bunch of the DNR there. They wanted to kind of give an update on where the progress is at with the modeling of the stream. And it's not good information we wanted to hear. Long story short, the brewery does 165 million gallons of water a year out of their personal wells. They want to cut that by 145 million gallons and leave them with a 20 million gallon, basically they call it the beer well. Also with that, which we knew this was coming all along, but they want to shut down city well number 3. One of the reasons why we drilled well number 7 a couple years ago to supplement the difference there and give us the added capacity. That's the bad news. The good news is the timing of this is pretty good with our well 8 and 9 project on the Fraley site. In discussions with Brian and Stantec staff, we had planned on running 2 wells out at the Fraley property and running a water line down Greystone, cross County Road 2 to the distribution center. We can actually wide that off once we cross County Road 2 and run a line down to the downtown brewery to supplement the water they're losing. So right now we currently have Stantec putting together a cost estimate as well as a plan for that project as well. We have Mark Janovic from Stantec sent me a letter today basically reassuring the city and brewery that the Fraley property has the capacity for this amount of water. The DNR is happy with the amount of water that we'd be pulling from the Fraley property, and they don't see a disturbance with the stream. So basically, we would change our appropriations. We would have 250 million gallons a year at our current well field up by North Point, and then 450 million gallons a year at the Fraley property moving forward. And that would be enough to supplement what the brewery would lose and what they need, so. It's kind of an update on that. It's basically worst case scenario, what they wanted to do from the beginning, so I'm not really sure what the modeling all represented other than backing up what they wanted to do, so. They seem to be in support of trying to get us money and putting us on the, was it the bonding bill or something? For this project. We'll see how far that goes. But rough estimate, I'm gonna guess it's just basically gonna be double the cost of what, you know, our initial plan was for wells 8 and 9 with the line. Maybe not quite as much, but with the roundabout going in, we don't want to disturb any of that. You know, we want to bore underneath that, so it gets a little more complicated boring water line through downtown, that's for sure. So I don't know how long it'll be before Stantec gets a number, but it'll probably be a little while, I'm assuming yet. And
So John, are they doing all of this to protect the trout?
yep, it's all, well, they changed their tune on the actual protecting the trout. It's now the habitat of the stream. The trout numbers, I think it was like 2000, let's say 2004, the trout numbers were like 500 some in the stream. In 2009,
9.
it dropped all the way down to like 12 fish, and now we're back up to 179, which in my opinion, I guess the trout are doing well if they're going from 12
Well,
fish to 179, but
You know, when you think about it, they probably should be doing well because it's basically an aquarium. If you think about the property that borders the stream, where I understand the majority of the trout live, is all private property. So if you had a trout fisherman wanting to go fish some of those 100 and whatever trout, really, they don't have a public access that I know of in the general areas of where those trout live. Yes, if you go way up trout, way upstream, I suspect you can get into, well, it would still be owned by someone, but it's not as compact in terms of residences as it is downstream. It just really seems unfortunate that
it's very unfortunate.
all of these costs are incurred and all of this is happening because of a trout stream that really isn't, for the most part, fishable.
Yeah, and you know, it's not just the initial cost to put this pipe in and everything that the city or brewery or whoever is going to take this on once we figure that out, but there's a annual expense to the brewery for this because they're pumping water for free and now they're going to have to pay for it from the city, so it's a huge cost to them. And you know, Brent Neisinger and I were basically when I first started here, we started going to these stakeholder meetings down in the cities, and it was really weird because they had this whole planned out. This was all planned out before any modeling was done, any information, and now this is what they want to do. So it's frustrating, but it's tough to get an argument with a government agency like that.
Doug, you got?
Two comments. One, you know, they say the fish was 5,000 and it was killed down to almost nothing. Is that the time frame when that spill was in there that killed them all? So those are numbers that are skewed because of the fact there was a big kill-off.
So yeah, with that, there was a gradual decrease from, let's say, a 8-year period, but then on that 8th year was that spill when it really killed them down, and now there's been a gradual increase, which seems to me like they're doing fine, like I said, but to them it's the habitat.
And then second, I would suggest you contact, or somebody contact Jeff Howell.
Yep.
and Damuth.
Yep. My plan was
It's
to,
frustrating to hear this because I spent hours down in the cities with those guys and at the brewery with this DNR issue with that trout stream, and it seemed like we were all in agreement that when we lowered it, and help me out, what did we lower the numbers, the gallons down that time? I don't remember. Lowered it to this and they were satisfied with that. Now all of a sudden, they're not satisfied with that again. I think we need to get our legislators involved, and Jeff specifically, because he sat in a lot of those meetings and was very upset about the fact of the way the DNR was kind of pushing their way through here, so.
Yeah, Bridget was gonna contact Jeff Howe.
I wanted to notify you all first of that conversation. We actually have a meeting on some other things with the brewery tomorrow, and then I will be strategizing with
Yeah, I mean, essentially, these
Representative, or
are
Senator Howe.
upwards of $10 million fish if you start doing the math.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is. It's, we've done so much in the city to keep them things alive. I mean, what we did up here with the trees and all of that stuff along the sidewalks.
Rain garden.
The rain garden, you've got a rain garden in
One
here,
thing after
and
the
you know,
next.
all of those things to help the trout stream, and this is what we get out of it. We get crapped on every time. It's so sickening.
Yeah,
But
it's very
there's-
frustrating.
Frustrating to hear
I
we're
know,
back at
it-
this again.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
I know there's nothing we can do about it, but
right, we'll make the best steps moving forward for the city and
Yeah.
and brewery, but hopefully Jeff can help us out a little bit. But-
it costs us a lot of money again.
Yep. So that's the good and bad on that. And that's all I got.
That's all you got? Any questions for John? Otherwise, we'll move on to number 10, City Engineer Report, Brian Lynchen.
Mr. Mayor and Council. First thing on my report is County Road 158. We're looking at getting, I'd sent out the plans, the city plans as well as the county plans. So we plan on bidding this project together. The county is going to be the lead agency for the bidding and the construction administration. They'll hold the contract with the contractor. At the next council meeting, we're looking to bring forward the agreement that talk about the agreement we'll have with the county. So we'll be working essentially under the county on this project. We decided one agency needed to take the lead, and so the county took the lead on it. So what I'm looking for tonight is, number one, are there any questions about what we have in the plans?
I didn't have any.
One thing to note, we met with the county today to kind of go through some of these things. We're looking at a middle of March bid opening, so still a very favorable time. So ad going in early February, so we have to have 3 to 4 weeks of advertisement to comply with both the city and the county's needs. So looking at hitting that bid date in early or in mid-March. We'd be looking for board approvals the end of March on the contracts, and then getting contracts together with the contractors into April, so that when the frost comes out, we can start working. One thing we noted today, we talked a little more, we've had some discussions in the past about storm sewer and the cost split with that. We also had some discussions today about the portion of the project from 14th to 17th, so the portion basically up Bell's Hill. So the good news on the storm sewer part is that the county has looked at it, and looking at what the state would probably have contributed or put the cost split at, the county has said, you know what, we're going to take 100% of the storm sewer cost. That's a big win for the city. It's an expensive portion of the project. The part that is not as good of news, there was some misunderstanding on both parties related to that portion up the hill. Bridget and I were under the interpretation that was all straight county cost. The county was under the interpretation that there was a shared cost there because it is within the city limits. So both parties agreed that, they thought that we understood that. We understood it to be we were only participating in the portion that was reconstructed. So we've kind of looked at the difference there. On one side, we're getting a bunch of money for the storm sewer. On the other side, we're going to have it's their county policy to have some reimbursement for some of the roadway through there. Now, the roadway up the hill is going to be quite a bit different in that the reason that cost is there is because they're putting in curb and gutter, they're putting in storm sewer. Basically, they're improving it from almost no shoulder, more of a little bit of a dangerous roadway, to 12-foot driving lanes, a 6-foot shoulder, and curb So it's going to be safer for motorists as well as safer for pedestrians who use that. They'll actually have a place to walk. So looking at the difference between the two, when you take into account assessments, because there was some complications with assessments on the storm sewer. If you take those out, it's about an $80,000 difference. So about $80,000 more that's coming to the city that we would be responsible for. Because that roadway, that county roadway is within the city limits, it falls under their cost participation policy, the same policy that they're doing on the rest of the roadway. So they're paying for the center 24 feet of the road. Those things outside of there are a city cost.
So a question then, would that then be assessed back to the properties?
Well, there's only 3 parcels on there that access the road on that section. So we'd have to hold a new improvement hearing. I believe, when we heard this today, I've been doing the research, so I'm trying to figure that out, to assess any of it to those 3 parcels. Because all of the ones in Granite Ledge, that's their backyard, so they aren't assessed. Everyone in Maple Ridge is not assessed. And then that outlot isn't built, so if we wanted to assess it there, I think it would have to be a deferred assessment until that's developed. So then it just leaves those 3 individuals on the corner there.
Well, we're not tying water lines or sewer there, we're not replacing it that form, are we?
No, it's just street.
So wouldn't the property owners on the other side of the street be assessed as well?
When we look at the assessment policy, you
Under-
would have to look at the side,
You look at
of the
frontage.
street that's their frontage. If it were a commercial property, you can assess both sides, but on a residential, you can really only assess the one.
Gotcha.
The frontage.
And we would, being especially it's a newer development, we would want to leave all those properties such that when 30, 40 years down the road, when we redo that neighborhood, that you had the ability to assess them on their front side.
So we'll have to have a public hearing with those 3.
In the old lot, whoever owns the old lot.
Bacchus's. And that's what I'm checking into. So, as soon as I know that.
That would be one route we can go. The other route is that it just becomes a straight city expense. So it becomes part of the bonding.
I'll go on record and say I'm not in favor of that, because it's not fair to all the rest of them that are getting assessed.
Yeah.
It's
I
not-
agree.
Not fair to the rest of the city to pick up that bill. I think it's got to be assessed to the property owners, like any other assessments we do, or any other reconstructions we do in town.
I agree, yeah.
I think we don't have a choice but to have another hearing and assess the properties that are associated with it.
Yeah. Is that gonna hold anything up?
That's what I'm
for-
checking.
For the county, or for advertising?
We'll have to look. I don't think it
Not for the
necessarily
specifications in the
would.
bid,
No.
because the specs,
'Cause
the plans are the
The
plans,
plans are all there.
and the bids will have to go out.
So it's just a public hearing to notify them and have their input brought here. Okay.
It's too bad.
Yeah, I wish that would have been brought up a long time ago. That would have
Right.
been a lot easier.
Yeah,
I mean,
and Jody apologized to us today and said she would have come here and let you understand that she didn't make it
Because
clear to us either. I mean, she-
I assume that, because I thought they said from 14th on that that was a county cost, that the county was gonna pick that up.
And that's how we understood it as well.
Yeah,
At our public hearing, yeah, or that public open house,
yes,
yep.
yeah. All right, should I read your recommendation then?
Please.
Recommendation to approve resolution number 2020-05, a resolution approving the plans and specifications for First Street South reconstruction project and ordering advertising for bids. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion, how about a second?
Go ahead, Doug.
Doug seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Next would just be water treatment plant. We've been meeting about monthly with Public Works and Stantec staff, looking at that preliminary layout of the plant. We're getting closer on nailing down a lot of the building specifics. We just got the soil borings back today, so we can do a little more looking into ponding, infiltration, et cetera, on the site. So I think making some good progress on the plant.
All right. How long do you think before we see a design? Couple months?
Yeah, it'd be, once we kind of finalize the preliminary design, it'll be a couple months,
Okay.
probably mid-year.
Okay.
You know, I think once we kind of have that finalized preliminary, I think it'd be a good opportunity to bring it, bring it forward and show everyone what we're thinking and, you know, gather your input on it as well.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
That's all.
Anybody got questions for Brian? All right, thank you guys very much.
Guys?
Number 11, Police Department Report. Chief Bloom.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good evening.
All right.
So I talked about it a little bit last time with squad cars. I was trying to get a date of when things were gonna hopefully start moving forward again. I finally got that date. The one that we ordered in the end of July, beginning of August last year is on track to be manufactured on March 3rd and hopefully have it before the end of the month. So that would be last year's squad. And they also gave us a $750 credit on that purchase because of the time we've been waiting for it. Also asking about what a timeline would look for, because we budgeted for a squad this year, and as of right now, as long as motors is their biggest issue, would remain available, that would, if we ordered now, it would be on track to be manufactured in the last week or the 4th week of April. So hopefully things are moving forward again. And we went last year without a squad. I don't want to go another whole year without a squad, so trying to get that order in early this year. So look, you're recommending that we move forward on the purchase of another Ford Interceptor, which was budgeted for again this year.
Okay, recommendation to approve the purchase of a 2020 Ford Police Interceptor utility from Schweiters of Montevideo at a cost of $32,994,000, and furthermore to be paid out of gambling fund 26-30-34-6311. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion to approve. How about a second?
I'll second it.
Doug seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then one thing with the squad equipment from last year, our SRO squad currently doesn't have a squad radio. We ordered all the other equipment last year for last year's squad. One of the things that slipped through the cracks was the squad radio for it. So just looking to get that ordered for last year's squad.
Okay. Recommendation to approve the purchase of a Motorola APX 6500 Li squad radio from Granite Electronics at a cost of $3,795 or $59.75, and furthermore to be paid out of the police department budget capital expenditures line item 6413. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead,
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then one more, we've been working on, we have 13 or 14 portable radios that we use. Well, we have 13 staffed right now, so with the part-timers and everything, if everybody was on at the same time. So far we've gotten 4 replaced. The last time we purchased them was 2006. And so just trying to replace those. They're getting dated and upgrade them. So we did 4 last year, looking to do 2 more this year, and then continue forward with 2 each year until we have them all replaced.
Okay. Recommendation to approve the purchase of 2 Motorola portable radio APX 6000s from Granite City Electronics at a total cost of $8,832.56, and furthermore to be paid out of the police department budget equipment line item 6311. I need a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Doug makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then just one other thing. Last week when it went from frigid cold below 0 to staying up in the higher 20s, low 30s, we had a string of one night of several vehicle break-ins. Just remind people to lock the doors, lock your outbuildings. It was all done in one night between, we think, midnight and about 5 a.m. But they were going through unlocked vehicles and that type of thing, easy to grab stuff, rummaging through center consoles, whatever was easy to grab, quick to grab, and then move on. So just remind people to make sure to protect yourself and lock your doors. And that's all I have.
All right. Anybody got anything for?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. Okay, number 12, City Administrator Report.
As you know, the RFP is out for the fire and police building, or standalone fire. They're due in February, so I thought it would be a good time to discuss. In the RFP, it states that there will be a committee that reads through them, and then the council will decide who to, or the city will decide who to bring in for an interview, narrow it down. And so I'm wondering, or seeking guidance, do we want to have a committee that does that, made up of planning, fire, police, city council? Do you want it to just be city council? Do you want to have planning do the original review and then you do the interview? There's so many options on how to do it, and I don't know which way you would prefer. Do you want to take the whole process on as a council, or do you want to put some of the work on other committees or staff, or a combination? So I'm looking for guidance.
I guess my
Or it could be tabled till later, think about it now and table it to the February 11th. Sorry for interrupting.
That's all right. My comment would be that staff, including Chief and Chief Weber, review them, and then have planning look at it and give us their thoughts, and then council.
Okay.
Each one separate, you mean? And
Yep.
see if we come up with... Yeah, because I think planning it, that's part of what they should be doing too, so.
I agree.
I think they should at least have a big say in it, but yeah, we could do that way. Have each one go through it.
When are the RFPs due?
20th of February.
Okay. So then I would say whatever time frame your team is comfortable with, come back to council and ask for approval to send it to planning, and then when there, and then
Okay.
I just don't want to rush it, so.
Right.
I guess-
There's a city council meeting the week after they're due,
Okay.
so we can look at them that week and then.
What do you guys think?
I agree.
Agree?
Good idea.
All right.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
Nope, I
on
know
that?
my
Just- okay.
walking orders.
All right.
Next, the financial rating. I sent you the letter. I was hoping to send it out to Friday so you could look at it over the weekend, but the rating has gone up from S&P to A+ from A, which will help, especially now that we're about to go out bonding for First Street South. And there was I got a question from Councilmember Knapp about what the strong, very strong, adequate, weak, very weak, because we have multiple. If you looked at it, I wrote it down, we have 3 things that are very strong, 3 things that are adequate, and 1 weak. I know, 2 very strongs, 1 strong, 1 adequate, 1 weak, or 3 adequates and 1 weak. The very strong and strong are each given a 10-point weight. The adequates, 1 is 30 points, 1 is 20 points, and then the rest are 10 points, so it's out of 100. And so she said she sees that, I asked our financial advisor at Northland, and she was very happy that we went up, and she sees that some of our debt is short-term. You know, we have a lot of debt, but a lot of it will be done in that 5 years or so, and if you continue to do your great work at keeping an eye on that and doing whatever you can to get it down faster, that should go up, which will help us some more. So I just want to let everybody know they should commend you for getting that back to where it should be and for doing the hard work to work on that debt.
Good job, everybody. That it? No, you got something else here.
No.
Can I ask some questions on it?
Yes.
So, one, I was impressed with it. I did have a couple of questions and thoughts on it. In order to move the needle a little higher in some of the areas where we got adequate, I don't know if it's the appropriate time, but would it be possible to set up a special meeting with our Northland Securities person where we could discuss some strategies about how to move that higher in those areas where we did score weak and adequate, and get more of a, I guess, a robust thought of what we should be doing and where we should go?
Yeah, that wouldn't be
That would be a
something,
good idea.
I'm sure they'd be willing to do that
Okay.
if that's something you want me to find out cost and everything from them to bring that back to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will do that. Seeing her tomorrow, so I'll ask her about it.
I would think we would only need an hour or 2 of our time.
Yep. All right, the last one is the drainage and utility easement. When the Fraley property became city property, Fraley's on 2 parcels, well, actually 1 became the county, and KB Company is owned by Jeff Kramer, gave an easement to the bend where that water fire hydrant is on Greystone that brings water down to Pilgrims. Well, with the new plan to bring water to the distribution center, that easement ended at that little elbow of KB's property. And so this drainage and utility easement is just extending it up. And most easements are purchased and not just given. And so I offered Jeff $100 for his, and he said yes, so he signed it. And so that will get us all the way to the bottom of the hill on Greystone when you're coming off County Road 2. And then the plan is to stay in the right-of-way from there.
All right, recommendation to approve entering into a drainage and utility easement with KB Company LLC on property located on Greystone Road with parcel identification number 36.23654.0000 at a cost of $100. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion, how about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
That is all I have.
That's all you got? Any questions for Bridget? Okay. Number 13, list of bills and additions. Recommendation to review and accept payment of the accounts payable according to the list and supplemental list presented by city staff. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Doug makes a motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 14, general questions and comments from city council. Jamie,
Nothing from me.
Doug,
Nothing.
Gary. I have nothing. Number 15, next council meeting, February 11th, 2020. I need a motion to adjourn.
Makes a motion.
Gary makes motion.
Second.
Doug seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Thank you very much.